We're moving on to pastures new. Join me as I show you the next part of our journey. Check it out right here, right now. Hi, my name is Dan Beesley and this channel is all about inspiring intentional discipleship, helping you go deeper in your faith and living it out in the world today. But you're joining me today as I am living it out, going on to a new part of my journey. I'm here in my office where I did a lot of my recording here. Over here was my bookcase, which I sat in front of far too often to record videos. Look, over here is where I painted a wall. I had a cupboard over here. So I painted only what I needed of the wall. So the next person coming in has got to get that painted. Here's my blackboard here. This room's cleared. I've got a few things here which are going to go tomorrow. Some stuff's going to go in storage. That's why I used to have my desk here to do all my editing and my work. So this is very empty now. A lot of stuff is gone and it's going into storage. And it's been raining all day. They say here in England we're going to get a month's rain in a day. So it's all rainy. Our beautiful garden down there goes all the way back down to those trees at the bottom. I'm going to miss the garden. I'm not going to miss cutting it. Look, you see, got all stuff up by the doors. So what happened, they came in, they took and packed everything. They took everything that needs to go to storage because we're just going temporarily for 6 months somewhere. And then we are going to go to a new place. So here's our living room. My mother-in-law, oh, she's not here. My mother-in-law came from Colombia to help us. Here's all the boxes going for tomorrow. She keeps saying that we got a lot of stuff. I'm not quite sure. You can't compare it to anything. So here we are. So we've lived here for nearly 4 years. I've done my training here. It's called a curacy. So you train for 3 years and you look for a job for a year. That didn't happen. I have done another video. Check that right here now to see what's been happening in our life over the past year. It's been crazy. I lived the Psalms, as it were. So we are here. Princes Risborough is where we have been called to. It's been amazing. Served in a couple of churches. You see many videos on the vlog. And now we're going to move to a place called Tame. And I'm not going to work in Tame. I'm going to work in another place called the Hilltops and the Lee, which is a benefice, which is a group of churches a few miles away. It's about half an hour away from where I'm going to be living. So it's very unique, all explained, as I said in the other video. But I'm going to take you around to where we're going to live, and I'm going to take you up to the new churches. But first, let's go say goodbye to my old places. So it's goodbye to St Mary's in Princes Risborough. For years of training here, living here, being part of this community, it's been amazing. But now we walk away and we say goodbye, and let's go over to St Peter's to say ciao as well. And it's also goodbye to St Peter's here in Ilmer, a place that's really got my heart, a place that I fell in love with. People always say there'll always be a part of me here, metaphorically of course, somewhere that is really special to me, and no matter where I will be. And in fact, this is a part of the logo at the start of this video has got the cross from the altar in it, so there will always be a part, always legacy of this place there. It's so beautiful. Really rural again, like where I'm going. So let's go and see where I'm going now. So now I am at a place called St Leonard's. This is where I'll be basing myself. Just around the corner there's an office. We're going the church. This is one of the 4 churches that I'm serving in. Really rural. Up here there's a sign just over there. Cholesbury, which is one of the churches, is a mile and a quarter away. The Lee, which is down a road down there, which is a single track road. Out here, the single track roads, it can be a bit of a nightmare meeting another car with passing places, and that's 2.25 miles away. And Horridge, which is just past Cholesbury, is probably about 2 or 3 miles away from here. So this is one of the churches there's 4 churches. That's actually 5, but I'll show you that. We're going to go in here. So I'm up here for 6 months. Well, it's now June. I'm going to be here till the end of November. The incumbent here has been ill, and he's taken some time away from ministry, so I've been asked to come up here for a couple of days a week and on a Sunday to help out and to cover. It's also helped me, obviously, because I never got a next role yet, and so it's amazing, and there's some great work to come. I'm not just covering here, I'm also helping them think about what church is. So this is the office. This is a church room, church hall, as it were, that gets rented out. This bush behind me, I'll show you what this was. If you look before, this bush was actually where the vicarage stood. So this is where I'm based, and it's a room that they rent out. Peggy, the administrator, sits there. She's off today. She's actually off on holiday, and I'll have my desk here. So here, look, this is the church. I was stood around here, and this was the vicarage here, which has since gone and got replaced by a bush. The vicarage was very nice. Don't know what happened to it, but this church is lovely. This church is pretty amazing. We're going to go around all the churches, and these churches are always open as well. So just opening the door. So I don't know where the lights are. So we will be without light. Oh, there's some lights there. I'll turn the lights on. So this is a really beautiful church. Choir stalls here, but also back at here, you can see it goes up. That's where choir is as well. So look here, some steps, so you would sit up here, and got an amazing view over the rest of the church. So these churches were really, in the medieval times, really kind of just full of farmers and their workers, and then you would have had rich landowners come in. Look at this here. So this is a memorial to a rich landowner, Cornelius Wood, and this is from 1700s, and some kind of armour. I don't know if, I think it's decoration more than anything. So you have big memorials, and these are the people here that would have put the money into the church and get the church running. Every church has something to do with the armed forces and the people who would have died in the wars and gave their lives for us in both wars. And you have these amazing, these are from, like, that's from 1704, 1760, memorials to people. Really beautiful. There's a pulpit which I'll be preaching from, and a little chair stuck in there. So this is one of the churches, St Leonard's. It's I think they have a lot of weddings here because it is a very beautiful church. Challenges up here because they, well, just to say, this is the main entrance, not the entrance that I came down there, which is facing to the ground. A bit confusing. Challenges because this is up really rural. I'll get a map up now just to show you that here are all the churches, and you can see how spread out they are. Not many houses, a lot of single track roads. So how do you do church up here? How do you do church when in all of these towns, really, except for the Lee down the road, there isn't a town centre or a village centre. The church very much was the centre of life, the church and the pub. But the church is kind of slowly losing that. So how do you do church when you're in this context? And church for a lot of people is becoming irrelevant. So that's something that we're going to be looking at here. So I think I'm going to love being here. It's amazing coming into a place like this. It's had such a Christian witness for so many years, and to serve and be one of the priests that serves here, preaching from pulpits that have so many people preaching from them over hundreds of years. It's really beautiful. I'm not even looking at the camera, I keep looking around, looking at the roof, looking at the memorials. There's lots to see, and you guys will see that as over the next 6 months as I serve up here, and we'll draw more out and you'll see more. So let's now go up to the next place. So I've just driven down the lane to the Lee, which is the busiest I've ever seen it, and we're at now the Lee at St John the Baptist at the Lee. This is actually where I'm going to start this Sunday, my first service, a communion here. So this is, can't remember what I read now, a Victorian church built, so in the Victorian times, over 100 years now, 130, 40 years ago, because they had a smaller church back there, and it was getting too small and it was getting into disrepair, and so they built this church, and that church was going to fall down, but some people come along to save it, so we'll go down there in a minute to have a look. But this one is another church that is always open, so we'll go in, and well, they use incense here. You can really smell the incense. So this is you see it's a bigger church, not as ornate as the other church up the road at St Leonard's, kind of more simple in that way. And actually that tells you kind of sometimes the tradition of the church, the history. When they're more ornate, usually they're more higher church. Anglo-Catholic, when they're more plain, they're usually lower church. Sometimes could just be the design of when it was built. There's a cross up there, and when they have a Jesus on the cross, it usually indicates it's higher church. So the Church of England is really broad, and you'll see in all the churches I go in there kind of different flavours, as it were, and it can be a mixture over time of different influences. But I would say this actually, looking at this, is typical Victorian church, but it is higher church because you can smell it. You can smell the incense. Again, there's the pulpit here, the choir stalls. Up there is the altar. So in a sense it's a bit strange because I'm coming in blind. I don't know the service. I haven't been here before, so you're always coming in and not knowing what to do. So in that sense they're going to have to bear with me. I'll probably be sat here in my stool doing the service and then going up there to do communion, and obviously preaching from over there. So this is St John the Baptist at the Lee. This is it's the bigger church that was built because it was thriving here many years ago, because the old church was falling down into disrepair. It was too small, or it was too small, then it fell into disrepair, and but it was kept. And this is the interesting thing, there's someone down here, so they're going to not know what I'm doing here. So it's kept, and people from the village or someone set up a charity or set a foundation, and they've kept it, and it is one of the oldest churches, even though it doesn't really look it, in the Oxford diocese. And Oxford diocese, this diocese is huge, and it's got over 800 churches in it, and this is one of the first. So it's really well kept. It's very probably beautiful inside. The trouble is you can't get inside because it's locked. I was just watching the man to see if he was going to go in, see if I could get in, and he didn't. So it's here. So this was the original church at the Lee, and they stopped using it because actually coming to the side it is quite small, and when it's growing they obviously decided to go down there and start the new church, and then this fell into disrepair, and now it's used for different things like concerts and other things. They do actually still have a service here at 8 o'clock. They have a communion here, so it's still used as a church, and I think it's still consecrated, but they have like green teas and concerts and meetings in here. Very beautiful, very well kept. You can see by the the churchyard. They have these very strange, different. I've never seen anything like that before. They look like gravestones, but the writing's gone. They're dates of things, not 1840, 1848, 1850, maybe the dates of people or something. I'm not quite sure. Very odd. It's been look spectacular when they first here. So this is the Lee with its 2 churches. So even though I'm looking after 4 churches, there's 5, but we don't look after this because it's privately looked after, as it were. I'm going to now go up to the other 2 churches. It's amazing actually that there's this beautiful divide, and it's sunny today for once after a lot of rain here in England, and there's this it's very cool, but in here cool, it's in the temperature cool. There's a grave down there, so obviously there's still a graveyard as you go out into the newer church. It must have been strange all these years ago that they built this church and they kind of just forgot about the old church, and it was down there and fallen into disrepair. So very unique. I've never seen anything like that, and how it is. So my first service in this church, and then we're going to get to 2 other churches which are the smaller, probably more like, and I haven't been in them, so hopefully they're open. So let's drive back at that lane. So I thought I'd start to show you this lane. It's narrow, you can see it's a bit wider on the left there because there's a passing place, but it's all like bendy, so you can't see what's coming, so you just have to really just take your time. I just stopped before, luckily, because the massive car came. People out here are quite posh, so they've got big cars, so it's a bit nightmare to get past. So it's all kind of like this, very beautiful. I've got to go into the car. So that's, if you see that was just a car reversing back to get past. Right, let's get to the next church. So now I'm at St Lawrence in Cholsbury. A gate leads up to the church. You kind of go a real rural road here. It's offset from the main road, and the church is up there. I mean, it's a real challenge. The church isn't central, it's not seen. But what is really cool about this church, a little bit of excitement coming out there, is that it's built on an Iron Age fort. So down here, as soon as I walked up, I thought, ooh, there's defensive ditches and earthworks there, because I studied archaeology at uni and I love archaeology, so this is really exciting. And this is what they did. They would take old pagan sites and Christianize them by building a church on them. So we have here the hill fort and the church here. It says it's Cholsbury Camp is one of the best preserved examples of Iron Age forts around. And then you look down here, and then they built all these things, and that one there, which is just behind me, is the old vicarage. So well done, you good old Christians years ago, tearing up the hill fort. But anyway, we're here. Usually old vicarages are quite big and splendid. So and the old vicarages, because they got sold off to people. But vicars used to live a life of luxury. Yep. Well, I don't know if they had tennis courts before, but they shows they had the grounds for them. So anyway, moving on. St Lawrence church here, very beautiful settings, very peaceful, very picturesque, well maintained, and a place where you would find absolute peace and solitude. But in that comes the challenge. Just looking at this sign here, and the church wardings £20 in 1872, which is a lot of money towards the reseating and restoration of the church. So they got, with all that money, enough seating for 10 more people. And it's open. Yes. That smells very floral in here. Beautiful, peaceful church. So obviously, this is quite a small church this would have been a small village. Again, you can tell the churches. They have the choir stalls up there, the altar at the top, and the seating down here. Just looking back here, you can really smell flowers. On the wall, they have the 10 Commandments, the Apostles' Creed, and the Lord's Prayer, to remind those who would daily or weekly come in of their faith and what they say and what they affirm their faith to be. And then you come up here, very simple. Can't get over the smell in here. Around this area, and a lot of churches, especially around this area, the roofs are wooden and they're painted white. And here, really good, really well maintained church. Obviously, a really loved church. They get brass in church, and people are really specialised at cleaning these brasses. So even though they're over 20 years old, they look brand new because people clean them. And beautiful windows as well. Very peaceful church. I did see something on the map about a holy well, so I'm going to quickly go around and try and find this holy well. How do you do church in this context? How do you do church when it's so set back from the road? Church is not. Let's go over here. Church is not seen as a priority in society anymore, and in rural communities as well. There's other issues. So how do you make something that's really it's stunning? Stunning. How do you make church relevant, and how does this building now become relevant to the local community, and Christ become the centre of that community, that God's kingdom is here? The church is never going to disappear. Church is always going to be here in one form or another. But how do we use what we have, these church buildings, in the context that we have? And that's the challenge, and that's the challenge that we've got to think about up here, while I'm here and after I've gone. And in many places, what does church look like in today's society? Now, this is beautiful tourist attraction in the sense that people come here and love it, but this isn't about that. This is about people encountering Christ, people coming together as a body of Christ, and changing the world. Fundamentally, that's what it's about. And people will come and meet God in here, but there's discipleship, there's a real life of duty to Christ and the church in the local community, and there's a real lot of thinking now in today's society how we do that. Maybe I'm reflecting a bit more, just because that's what we have to do here now. Don't know where the well is. There's a well. It's at a holy well. We'll find that another time when we get it on another video. Now I'm going to shoot off to the last church. I'm now at St Mary's Church in Horwich, which is behind me. If you notice the change in shirt, is because I forgot to press record the last time I was here. So I come back up. Really stunning day. It's one of those churches that is stunningly beautiful. The thing is with this church, it could be again connected to one of those manor houses, Horwich Court, I think it is, just over there. And this is down like a dead end street. So that's where the road leads, and there's no more. There's no reason to come down here. Church is well maintained. When I got here last time, there was people here cutting the grass. Very quiet, quite wealthy by looking at their cars' neighbours. And yeah, it's a shame we can't get in, but we'll see it in the future. But again, how do you do church in this context? Very beautiful, very peaceful. You know, you would people love to visit here, and probably a lot of people don't visit here. Also very historic, big old trees behind me there. But when a church has only got a handful of people coming in regularly, how do you engage with people who live in big houses over there and over there? And I tell you what, this is you got a church which is, I don't know, like half a mile away. Not a church, a school. Sorry, the local school is like half a mile away. On a road, it's 40 miles an hour. Kids can't walk down here. They would have to get bus, which costs money. So it's not something they're going to do all the time. I don't think the church is big enough to hold that school. The school's got about 200 kids, so you'd have to do it in different key stages, which is like groups of years. So you know, this is the challenge. There's a challenge that many rural churches face. Very picturesquely beautiful, very serene. You know, you could come here and just reflect. And on a Sunday, how do you encourage people to worship? People are far from God anyway. But this is my life for the next few months. It's understanding and helping the congregation and understand here what church can mean today, and that's in itself, actually, that's exciting. It's an exciting journey. The church isn't dead. The church is very much alive. The church is more relevant today than ever before, and it's just we as a church have to understand how we express our faith in the world today, how we worship in the world today, how we engage with our local communities in the world today. So I'm here now, confirmed till the end of November. Last night I accepted a job, and that will be coming up in another video when I'll take you to see where I'm going to go and start in December. Really exciting, real huge step out in faith. But that is then, and this is now. So what it is now is here to serve, is here to understand what church looks like going forward, but also how church works now with the people who are committed Christians who've been living here for many years or moved here recently, and how they worship God in a changing context, but still helping them in a way that they know. Super exciting, super challenging, super stuff to learn in the future that we can take to many other places, and you're going to join me over the next few months. So I'll leave you there. Subscribe to the channel so you can watch this journey over the next few months, and as I go along living my life as a vicar, with many other videos as well in apologetics and ethical things, and mainly Christianity today and how we live it out. So I'm getting quite peaceful here, actually. I feel really peaceful. So I will love you and leave you, as we say, and I will see you soon. Bye. So the video doesn't actually end there. I'm here at our Horridge Church. It's Sunday. I've just taken a service and we can get inside. The door is now open. So you can see this church. Remember, it's rural, dead-end street. I've just taken a joint service for all of the parishes, so 4 churches. You've got, it's very beautiful again, but you can see a few things I'll point out. Very beautiful church, restored 100 years ago, very vibrant, probably back then. Here, so you've got the altar up there, you've got choir stalls, and that's where I sit, just over there. By the way, this is on my phone. I haven't recorded on my phone for a long time since I got my since I got my camera. So you've got the font there. But there are issues when you start looking around churches that they have. So if you look at the roof, you've got issues with parts of the roof. They're coming down and being able to try and fix it. Issues with damp because there's no heating here. Beautiful churches, full. I've looked at the book for the service. It's really full at Christmas, but trying to get people down here is a big thing for the rest of the time. Christmas and Easter, you always get lots of people in harvest. This window's pointing out to me. I don't think you can see it. I think the light shining through too much. It's a window of parable kind of rare, and lots of people come down. In fact, it's got right there. If it does come out, you've got purple pigs. I've just got someone in the church with me here as I'm going round. Yeah. And then you got in here the vestry. It's really well kept church. And this is where I robe and get ready, and I keep things in here. Next week, so we just had a communion service, and next week we've got a family service here. And part of the problem, speaking before, that you have in these church is the so very rural, and there's no heating. So in the winter, this church is hugely cold. So you know they try to heat it up, and you put your thermals on and things like that. But it's really how do you get people in churches when they're just so cold? Where people don't want to come and sit for 45 minutes in a service when it's so cold. And how, when you've got so few people in the church, do you maintain it then? And they just spent all this money getting the guttering done. It's hugely important because you get water running down, and you get damp issues if you haven't got guttering and water running away. But you're really suffering with only a few people contributing to that. So with the issues with damp, and then trying to heat a building like this to get people in, huge major issues. But again, a beautiful, beautiful building. And I was just speaking after the service to the people here about how you do church in this context, and they are so open about trying different things and new things, and that's really, really exciting. So finally got in Horridge Church, and so now this is goodbye, and let's really enjoy the next 6 months going around this benefice. Bye.